And you can understand some of that when you're leading a congregation, that they do want to sing, and people do want to sing, but you've got to make them feel inclusive. And if you start singing a lot of things they don't know, and later on you're going to say, why don't you people sing? Well, you may have created something unknowingly. So no more than one new song, especially in one worship service. Know the song, you know it, you're musicians. Be patient with the church in learning that as well. Work in harmony is the next one with the musicians. Work in harmony with the musicians. Because the musicians can really mess you about if they want to. No, just kidding. Always remember, seemed to always be war in the music department. So work in harmony with the musicians. Next, wait on introduction for the song you're about to sing. Unless you do, wait. Wait on introduction for the song you're about to sing. These are very simple things, but I still find occasionally this is not done. As a leader, you want people to know where you're going. All right? So that can be just maybe the key that's being given to you and playing a little bit, but let the musicians kind of get you going. Have hand signals for the musicians, congregation, stop, repeat, next verse. Clear, easy to understand hand signals. By that, I'm leading the service. We're in a, see, Arlene has given us signals right now too. So that's all right, Arlene. So we're leading the songs, and I want to do a chorus again. Now here, we usually, a lot of places, sing, okay? So if I want to sing the chorus again, people singing with me or the musicians, you didn't even see it either. I have my hand down here. What good is that? It just, you know, our God is an awesome God. He reigns from heaven above with wit. Do you ever hear that? Power and love. Our God is an awesome God. Our God. See, I've already said it. See, of course. Musicians, singers know, and congregation gets to know the song. But our God is an awesome, because people want to know, where are we going? He reigns from heaven above with wisdom and power. Our God is an awesome God. There's a verse that goes with that. Our God is an awesome God. So already they know. Also, it's high enough that if anything needs to be done, if sound people are in the back or AV people, they really get at that. AV people, they see. They know he's going to the next verse. I need to get ready. Right? And when you do this, our God is an awesome God. They don't see. So you can do it without, like, you know. Now, what helped with that is years ago when we sang more hymns, they'd go, oh, I want to see him. And we're coming back. There to sing forever. I'll be saving grace on the streets of glory. Let me lift my voice. Cares all past, home at last, never to rejoice when serve my seat. Verse 2. You already have it now. Verse 3. If you have AV, the people know it. The musicians know you're going back to the verse. Very clear. That's all. No, it's very easy. But that way, people in the congregation know. People in the platform know. Musicians know. This is where we're going. Okay? Also, it's like here, it's like they do these repeats. It's kind of like, am I right, Arlene? This? Or key change.
Key change.
Key change. Just like,
people be like,
our God is an awesome God. See, when you do like this, our God is an awesome God. So you already practiced this. And musicians know and singers know we're going to bring it up a notch. And people, after a while, get to know that's not you answering your phone, but that's a key change coming. So you're leading. You want people to have clear direction where you're going, but they're going to get it from here, right here. If you don't know, you're not sure, we don't know. So, and then some people get frustrated. Come on, people, come on. I'd say, yeah, come on. Tell us what you want us to do. If you have testimonies, which is a good thing to do, let some folks know before the service. Call on them. Gives them a chance to prepare. Maybe you have a theme for the service. Maybe Sunday, we just feel like we want to have a healing service. So if somebody's going to be preaching about healing, songs that may be singing about the healing power. There's 2 or 3 people you may ask in the church, you've got 2 minutes, tell us how God brought healing in your life. You know. Or maybe it's about, this is Pentecost Sunday coming up. Tell us how you received the baptism of the Holy Ghost. You know, you got 2 minutes. You give them a chance to prepare. And the other thing you want to work on is that some people aren't used to doing that, so it gives them a chance to kind of get their ducks lined up, you know, what to say. It helps them. If in the service you're called upon to do a special item, do that. So let's say we're Sunday morning, we've called upon Elizabeth to come. She's going to minister to us by singing a solo. That's what she's called on to do. Not preach, pastor may say, or song leader may say. The person leading the service, greet the congregation, but then you get into doing the song that you've chose to do. You practice before church, not practice during the service, but you practice before the service, so when you're called upon, you're ready to sing. Everything you're doing is leading up to the Word, so when the person who is preaching gets the service, they're ready to move forward. And I have experience where somebody has turned a service over to you, and it's been incredible. I've had experiences where people have given the service to you, and it was at one of it bottomed out. When they gave it to you and they were done, it was so you had to bring it back up out. Sing another chorus. Let's just come together, sing. And a lot of times, my wife, she says it's not as bad as you think, but just sometimes there's a lot of movement and confusion. It just, again, when you're on the platform, you just kind of see how things are going. And sometimes in service, Elizabeth will know this. I say, folks, come on, we got to come together. Let's sing this. There's too much. You just sense it and feel it, because you want to bring people back together again, because God wanting to move and speak. And sometimes when we're doing offering and people are talking and the kids are running over to go upstairs, that's why we sing another song again, just to kind of bring it all back together again. All right? There's some other things there. May have a schedule for the service, go down further. That doesn't hinder the work of God. We've kind of talked about it, giving clear direction. There is at the bottom of the page, okay. Oh, we've got what, 12 minutes, okay. At the bottom of the page it says for Brother Bernard's book. You see that? Mm-hmm. Okay. Move the service with purpose and progress. Okay? We've kind of covered that. Move the service with purpose and progressing. Next page, make quick transition, avoid dead time. That, again, that transition meaning I'm done leading songs, Callum is leading prayer, he just moves right in. He just picks it right up. Move, quick transition, avoid dead time. I'm telling you, it is incredible how distracted people can become if you don't keep them focused. We're sheep. Study sheep. We are. Avoid excessive speaking between elements of the service. I'm not saying don't speak, but avoid excessive. Give clear direction. We've covered that. I'm just having you fill these in. But give clear direction to the musician at all times. He sums it up very good here. If you're leading songs, so Elizabeth is leading the song service, and Callum is leading prayer, if he knows this is a song, and he knows it, Elizabeth, we're singing again, our God is an awesome God, because He's coming for prayer. Also, you want to sing songs that are appropriate to what you're doing. So I know when he knows, Cal knows, when she's entered that song, and sometimes maybe you can't be on the platform, there's not room, but Elizabeth is leading, you're down off to the side, ready to go, and she just looks. This happens here. It's like was I here last Sunday? No, 2 weeks ago. I can't remember what the church anymore. But see, I forget who was leading, what they were doing, and I was next, and they just looked down to me. They were ready to move off. So I just came right up and picked it up. They didn't leave the pulpit until I was there. Okay, that transition. And the song they were singing, I could just pick up with and sing. So if Callum knows the song, okay, Elizabeth, just pass it off to me when we're singing that song, Our God is an Awesome God. Just little things like that can make a real difference. It just keeps the spirit flowing and moving. You know, I've covered that enough. Avoid having people stand excessively. Now that's here, we've got into where people want to stand. But there are times if I'm leading the service, I'll say you can be seated if you want to. And sometimes I do. So it's not because I find the service boring, but I'm just tired. Sit down. You know. Testimony should be quick and positive. Testimony should be quick and positive. Solos should testify only when asked. Stay in the microphone. Okay, there's a lot of other things that we went over. Right at the very bottom of the page, the last few things is start on time. Be ready for service. Start on time. Now why is this important? Because, okay, church starts at 7:30 or 7 o'clock. Does that mean God can't start till then? You start because what will happen? Well, people are late. You start on time. Because what happens, if you're starting at 7 and people don't show up to quarter past, you say, okay, let's start at quarter past. People won't show up till half past. That's human nature. Now, if you're wanting to start church at 5 o'clock and everybody gets off work, you got a problem. I'm talking like on Sunday morning, church starts at 11. Well, people don't get here till half 11. You start at half 11, they won't get here till 12. Well, let's start at 12. They won't get here at half 12. Before you know it, you're having church at 9 o'clock at night. Okay, so start on time. Just have church. Lateness is not anointing, it's annoying. I often tell people that we're conducting some of the most spiritual transaction business in the entire city when we come together for church. We really are. So when we come in as believers, we want to have the tone set and ready to go that when somebody walks in, the service doesn't have to be built up, we're ready to go. Okay. Any other questions or comments? And I'll stop. You've been very patient. I've been yakking a lot. I will, yeah.
Now, could you give me that other one?
What one?
Be subconscious.
Sorry, where is that?
Stay in the microphone.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, be time conscious. Yeah. Be time conscious. If a pastor says you have 8 minutes, you have 8 minutes. Or if you have 9 minutes. Or if you have a half hour. Respect that. I've been in services where the person was going over. I was in a seminar. And somebody went around the back and they said, I'm not done yet. You could hear everybody kind of like, oh my word, you know. That's abusive in the pulpit, you know. That's your problem if you're not done. You were given a time slot. Also, just if we start at 7 o'clock and 8 o'clock we're still singing songs, and it's not because there's been an outpouring of the Holy Ghost, you know. If your pastor says this is how long of the person leading, you know, respect that.
But there's an outpouring of the Holy Ghost.
Right, yes, yeah. That's altogether different. but respect that. You know, that is important. And you know, and occasionally we have to travel in the States. I was in a church on Sunday morning, and before we got there, we met the pastor on Saturday, and he said, Brother Kelley, we start at 10 o'clock, and we are done 11 o'clock sharp. And he said, if you're not done, you will see people starting to get up and leave. And he said, they're not being rude. But he said, almost half of his congregation was in the medical field. Either nurses, doctors, some of them are having to go on rounds. And he said, they don't do it to be rude. It's just they have to do things. Okay, when I went into that, I couldn't say, well, I got a word from God, and if they love God, they're going to listen. No, you respect that. So, and we did. We finished about a minute before 11. He got up and closed everything out, and that was it. People were quickly shook our hands. A lot of the people left, and they were going off to work because they had. But I thought, well, they were in church on that morning. They could have said, I only have an hour in church, so what's the use of going? But no, they were in church that morning. So you have to work with things, you know. It's the way it is. Anyway. Okay, thank you for your time. Hopefully this will help you in some way, shape, or form. If ever asked to do anything. Well, you get it right, I still make mistakes. But you try, and just keep it right. So, all right, you have 4 or 5 minute break.